the American president acting like a king, telling a state-level institution who should and should not be leading it.
DEI has made this country great, and it will continue to make it great. It's hard to embrace everyone when you want to erase people's histories, when you want to make it easier, when you want to make it easier for folks to be discriminated against.
We have a CNN Abby Phillips panel to hop into about Donald Trump and DEI, so sure to get spicy, buckle in, leave us a like on the video if you can to start. It helps us out, it lets us know you enjoy this kind of content, and let's get right to the debate.
You know, I don't really shed any tears for this. I think the country doesn't want this. I think it's bad for higher education. I think it's bad for corporations. And I think it's time for us to move past trying to divide ourselves up the way they have done on these university campuses and embrace everybody and equal opportunity for everybody.
It's hard to embrace everyone when you want to erase people's histories, when you want to make it easier, when you want to make it easier for folks to be discriminated against, when you want to make it harder for people to be admitted to schools. The reason why the school would not have voted to remove DEI if Donald Trump didn't have the backlash on DEI.
And she's exactly correct here. DEI has been around for 60 years, right? Like through the 70s and 80s, it was called D&I, and it was not an issue until Trump misrepresented what it was. You have to ask why that is, but let's also step back for a moment, because on this show, we've seen Scott Jennings say, we have to do something to get more conservative voices in these institutions, in these universities. That's literal DEI for conservatives. Donald Trump lost the popular vote on the merits of winning over the people, what an election is supposed to be about. He lost, but won through the Electoral College in 2016, a means of giving equity to smaller populated, rural, and often conservative areas, making him a literal DEI president. Conservatives have no problem with either of these, but the second it becomes about correcting the injustices of racism, slavery, and Jim Crow, something that doesn't inherently benefit white conservatives, now we don't understand the utility and measures that push for equality. Like, where it should go without mention, right? Black people are still not even represented at population level in education or the workforce, while white people are overrepresented in both still. But like, yeah, tell me how it's discrimination against white people.
People don't really understand what DEI is, and I think that is the problem. But DEI has made this country great, and it will continue to make it great. And there will be backlash from this. Like, the pendulum continues to swing, and I think this is an overreach, and going into higher education institutions is not going to stop there. It's going to go into school districts, and we just saw a Supreme Court case today on LGBTQ.
There is a future world in which a Democratic president uses the power of the presidency to threaten private institutions, public institutions who don't do what they want them to do.
What do you mean
that is going to happen?
That was the past.
Okay,
Joe Biden's administration already did that.
Future past. You didn't like it when it happened.
But, you know,
but you like it.
And that is a main problem. The underlying racism in America is the other, where the right really cycled through this until one stuck. Do you guys remember when CRT was being taught in kindergartens, and then that one never caught on, so it was, well, affirmative action is keeping white people out of universities, no problem with legacy admissions. But now it's, you know, DEI is taking your job, which is interestingly a cycle of, you know, the racist migrants are taking your job line. So what you see from this is Republicans aren't even original, they're just racist, right? DEI has never been about favoring minorities over white people. If it were, we would see it in the data. Again, been around since the 60s. What's called D&I for decades, right? You can look this stuff up. It would be in the data if it's been 6 decades of it. It's not real. It's about recognizing the value diversity can bring in culture, in thought, in experience, and addressing the hidden biases that can prevent this from happening naturally, where it should not go without being said. White women were the largest beneficiaries of DEI. So the idea that this is like unqualified, but all about unqualified black people and hands out to the black community is something that never existed in reality.
UVA was founded by Thomas Jefferson, right? The man who helped to lead our country away from tyranny, a man who believed in states' rights, who did not want a king to tell us how to live. And now here we have this bizarre irony of the American president acting like a king, telling a state-level institution who should and should not be leading it and what they should be teaching in it. This is sort of the modern-day form of tyranny against our educational institutions. And I think that we need to really protect our educational institutions as well. I'm very concerned, as a Jewish American, I'm also very concerned about arguments like DEI or anti-Semitism being used not to oppose those issues that they're concerned about, but to use it to blow up higher education and schools that really educate all of our country and make our society more whole.
I just want you to think, like, let's do a thought experiment where we only consider the parties by how the other party talks about them. So Democrats are exactly how Republicans say they are, and Republicans are exactly how Democrats say they are. Close your eyes, and I want you to imagine a world where the federal government is telling private institutions what they can and cannot do, who they can and cannot hire, what they can and cannot say. Given how the right talks about the left, you would think that this would be the woke libs doing this. It's the communists, right? This is communism, guys. But no, it's the right, because this is one, capitalism, two, authoritarianism. And the wildest part about it all is that they're doing it in the name of racism. Like, Americans aren't calling for this. The universities aren't calling for this. Literally no one is calling for this who isn't racist or terminally online. And of those who are calling for it, 70% are only on board because Trump is, and couldn't tell you 3 things about DEI, the year it was instituted, and who started it.